Hello everyone, welcome to the third lesson of Python programming. So the topic is control flow. So basically whenever you want to control the flow of your code, then you need some conditional statements or loops. So these conditional statements includes if, else if, and else. Okay, and apart from these we also have loops like for loops, while loops. So we will take some examples and see how these loops and if else statement works. Okay, let's go to the Colab notebook. There we will explore some questions related to this, and also we will discuss few theory points. Okay, yeah. So here, as we see in programming, a conditional statement is used to execute different code based on whether a certain condition is true or false. For example, if age is greater than 18, then only it is going to predict you are eligible to vote. Okay. So one important point to note here is that the indentation of the first line and second line is not same. Similarly, let's take one more example where we will use if and else both. So here what we have written, if age is greater than equal to 18, then it will print you are eligible to vote. But if this statement is false, then Python will execute this print statement which says you are not eligible to vote. Okay, based on this, let's try out some examples. Okay, so first question says write a program to check if a number is even or odd. Okay, so let's write a variable x, which is by default I assume that it will provide integer number as an input. Okay, so we will write input. Okay, similarly what we can do is that we will check if x modulo 2 equal to 0, then we will print it is even number. Otherwise what we are going to do is that we will print it is okay we have to mention double quote also, an odd number. Okay, so I hope it will work. Let's run this one. Okay, it is asking for input. Let's put 32. So it is even number, so that which is correct. Let's run it again and try for some odd numbers. Let's put 27. So it says that yeah, it is an odd number. Okay, let's go to the next question. Next question says write a Python program that takes a student's percentage as an input and print their corresponding grade according to the following criteria. The criteria is if someone scores more than 90%, they will get A grade. If someone scores between 80 to 89%, they will get D grade. If someone scores between 70 to 79%, they will get C grade. If someone scores between 60 to 69%, they will get D grade. Okay, and otherwise they will fail. Okay, so let's write a code for this. So what do you think? What we have to write here? So first what we will do is that we will take an input, student's number as an input. Okay, and then we will check if that number is more than 90, or if that number is more than equal to 90, then we will print A grade. If it is between 80 to 90, then we will print B grade. Else if it is between 70 to 79, we will print C grade. Else if it is between 60 to 69, we will print D grade. Otherwise else we will print F grade. Okay, so let's see. So again, one more point I would like to ask from you people. So what should be the input, whether it should be a string type, integer type, or float type? Since student percentage can be also in decimals, so it's better to keep it as a float type input. Okay, so okay, let's see the code. Okay, so I've written the code here. Let's go line by line. Okay, so in the first line we are simply writing if percentage is more than 90, we are saving grade as A grade. If it is between 80 to 90, we are saving grade equal to B. Else if a percentage is between 70 to 80, we are saving grade equal to C. And similarly, if number is between 60 to 70, we will save grade equal to D, and else grade is F. And finally, after this we are writing the print statement. Okay, let me clean it up. Okay, and after that we will print student's grade as grade. Okay, let's run this code and see what happens. It is asking us to provide student's percentage as an input. Let's write 86. So what should be the grade? Yes, it is B. Let's run it again and see how it let's see what about 90% student grade. So he is getting A grade, which is correct. Okay, now let's put some decimal values also. Let's say 79.91. okay, so student grade is C, which is correct. Okay, so yeah, that's how we can create this program. Okay, so okay, now let's discuss about the loops. So as we discussed, loops are control structure in programming that allow a piece of code to be executed repeatedly, and how many times this code will execute, that depends on the criteria which you put in these loops. So for loop is something which if you want to iterate it for up to a certain number of times, then you can use the for loop. While loop you can use when certain condition is met, then only that loop will terminate. Okay, or in other words we can say that then only the code, a specific set of code will stop executing. Okay, so let's say the question says to print the sum of all integers from 1 to 100. So what can you do here? So first thing would be to I hope all of you know that the formula to calculate the sum of first 100 integers is n into n plus 1 upon 2, right? So we can directly use this formula to calculate the sum of first 100 integers. Okay, so for that what we will have to do, we will have to take the n as an input, which is 100 here, or we can directly say n equal to 100. Then we'll write this formula and we will print this. Okay, so it will give us the sum of all integers from 1 to 100. Okay, let's see. So here you can see that we have saved n equal to 100, then sum of integers equal to n into n plus 1. Okay, sorry, so here I think, yeah, this is wrong. It should be n plus 1, right? N into n plus 1 upon 2, right? So yeah, I think we should remove this parenthesis also. Okay, yeah, so I think no need to put one extra bracket here. So yeah, now it will work. Okay, let's print it. So see, what happens? Okay, I think we can delete this formula here. So it is going to give you 5050, which is 100 into 51 upon 2. Sorry, 100 into 100 and 101 plus 2, which is nothing but 50 into 101, which will give you something like this. I mean, some numbers like this, or maybe we can directly write here and see. 50 into 101. Okay, sorry. So it is nothing but 50 into 101. Okay, actually my laptop had some issues due to this. I think sometime unnecessarily we open one new window. So yeah, this is 5050. So we have matched that. The answer is correct. Okay. So okay. So can we run some loop to do this? Okay. Let's use for loop to check whether this is the same value we are going to get. So what we will do is that we will run the for loop. We will add every number from 1 to 100. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, something like this. Okay. So by default we are saving sum of integers equal to 0, and then we will run for loop. For the default syntax, by default the syntax of for loop is for I in range 1, 101. So it is like from starting number and last number. Okay, and this range function, if it is 101, then it will not go up to 101. So it will stop at 100 only, but it will include this number. Okay, one will be so whenever you write something inside this range, no. So this initial point will be included in that range, but last point will not be included in that range. Okay, for I in range 1, 101. Okay. So what we are going to do here is that every time we are going to save the sum of integers value with the new sum of integers value. Okay, so new sum of integers. So earlier initially it is 0. Then once we run this loop for I in range 1, 101. So initially the I value is 1. Then we are going to add 1 in this sum of integers. So now the new sum of integers value is 1. Then again in the second loop, I value will be 2. Then again we will add this 2 value into this sum of integers. Likewise, once we run all this code now, we will get the same number. Okay, we can see that sum of integers from 1 to 100 is 5050. Before discussing this, I will introduce you to the function range. Okay, so the range function returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0 by default and increments by 1, which means if I write nothing, only range of 5, then it will give us the number like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but in case if we mention range of 1, 101, then it will give us the number from 1 to 100. Remember, here the first initial numbers will be included in the range, in the output, but last number will not be included in the range. Okay. So here every time whatever value we are getting from this range function, it will be saved in this I value. Okay, so in the first run I value is 1, in the second run I value will be 2, in the third run I value will be 3. So every time we are adding this I value into this variable sum of integers. Okay, let's move to the next question. Next question is write a Python program that takes a number as an input and prints its multiplication table up to 10 using a for loop. So what we will do is that we will take the number as an input and then we will write for I in range of 1, 11. So it will give I value from 1 to 10, and then we will print number into I. So every time it will multiply that number with I. So I is nothing but 1, 2, 3 up to 10. Okay, let's run this code and see how it works. So let's say we want the table of 7. Okay, so what we are seeing: 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63 and 70. So it is working properly. let's take the table of 19. Okay, so yeah, 19, 38, 57, 76, 95, 114, 133, 152, 1790. So it is working properly. Okay, so I hope you are clear about all the loops, the syntax of these loops. Please remember the syntax of these loops, and see here in all the loops we are using the indentation. So indentation is important in these loops because indentation shows that which code you have to if the given statement is true, then what part of code it will execute. So, hello everyone, welcome to the lesson 4 of the first module. Okay, so which is function. So I mean here by now you have seen many functions like range, print, and few other functions. Okay, so do you know, I mean you can create your own functions also. Sometime you observe that some of the codes can be repeated, you can use some of the codes repeatedly. So what you can do is that you can create a function for that. For example, I mean you saw that range function. What range function does is that it returns a sequence of number from initial point to the final number, from initial point to final point by the increment of 1. Similarly, you can also create your own function. For example, if I have to create a function named add numbers, then I'll just create, okay, sorry about that. So I'll create a function named add numbers, and it will take an input as a and b, and it will always return me a plus b. Okay, for example, if I have created this function, then if I put add numbers 3, 5, then it will return 8 as an output. Okay, so here let's go through the syntax of this function. Okay, here we define the function, user defined function, by the term def. Okay, so and the these a and b are called arguments, and this is the value value which it is going to return. Okay, so these parameters act as a placeholders for values passed to the function, and return values provide output. Okay, so as I told you, these functions enhance the code modularity. If you have to repeat this term, if you have to repeat this specific set of codes again and again, so it's better to create function and use it again and again. Okay, we will see one question on this. Okay, okay, so let's discuss this question. So which says implement a simple calculator that can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So what we will do is that we will create a function named add. Okay, so for how we can write it, def add x comma y, and then it will return x plus y. Similarly, we can create a function to subtract, so which is nothing but def subtract x comma y, return x minus y. Similarly, we can create function for multiplication. Again, we will write def multiply x comma y, then it will return x star y. Okay, then we can write a function def divide x comma y, then if y is not equal to 0, so obviously we have to check whether y is 0 or not. If it is 0, then obviously it will return cannot divide by 0, otherwise it will simply return x divided by y. Okay, let's run this cell. Okay, so now you can see that this is not giving any output because these are functions which we have created. Okay, so now whenever we have to perform some addition, subtraction, or multiplication, we will simply write, for example, to add something, we will write add 5, 3, and if we run this, if we run this cell, then we will get 8. Okay, now we can also change it to subtract. Okay, so what it will give me the output 2. Okay, we can also write multiply. Okay, so multiply spelling is not correct, so yeah, now it will give me the output as 15. Now we can also change it to divide. Okay, so if we change it to divide, we will get the output as 1.667. okay, now okay, let's put, instead of 3, let's put y value as 0 and we will see what happens. Okay, so it will give us cannot divide by 0, which is true, because we cannot divide any number by 0. It will, otherwise it will return infinite value. So our customized calculator is ready. You can do one more thing here. You can set some function. You can also ask for users to give directly your x and y value as an input also. So but yeah, this type of customization you can do. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the simple example of function. So this is going to be very useful when you go deeper in Python courses. Okay, let's move to the module 1.2, which is data structures in Python. So there are different type of different data types available in Python. So list is one of those. So lists are dynamic ordered collections allowing the storage of various data types. So here we need to note that indexing starts at 0 and negative indexing provide access from the end of the list. So here if you see that we denote any list by the square bracket. Okay, so if any number, so if you see the square bracket, then it means that this is a list in Python. Okay, and if you have to access any specific string or numbers, then you can directly write the index of this string, and it will print that number. For example, print fruits of 0, or fruits with index 0. So index 0 is this one. So we need to remember that index always starts from 0, not from 1. Okay, and there is one more way to access this apple. Okay, so its index is 0 and also its index is -3. So you can use positive and negative both type of index. Let's say if you have 100 numbers or 100 elements inside this list, and you have to access the 100th or 99th element, so it's better to use -1 or -2, something like that. Okay, so this is the way to access element by index. So there is one more properties of this list, so that is slicing. So if you want, so what it says is that if you want to access first 2 element or maybe second and third element, then you will use this symbol, which is colon. Then you can use the colon, okay, which says that you want all those elements which start from the first index before third index, so which means first and second. So if you write this, then it will return apple, banana and orange, because third index is not here. So anyway, I mean, it would not return third index, it will return first and second index. So always first term is included in this slicing operation, but the last term is not included. Okay, and there is one more properties of this list, which is .append method. Okay, so if you put something like fruits.append grape, then it will simply add this grape into this list. Okay, we will discuss about all these like indexing, slicing and these methods in notebook in detail. Okay, and we will also cover some examples related to this. Here you can remember some specific properties of list. So these are mutable. So mutable means you can change the index value of the list, or you can add or remove element from this list. Okay, so yeah, always just understand mutable means editable. You in other word, you can say that you can add some element into this, or you can also remove some element from this. Okay, so yeah, this is all about list. Let's move to the second. Okay, so second is dictionary. So dictionary are key value pair. Okay, whenever you have few things which is in pair, no, then you can use dictionary. Okay, so remember the properties of dictionary. Here keys must be unique and values can be of any data type. Okay, so here you see this is the basic syntax of dictionary. It starts and ends with the curly bracket. Here the first term is known as key and second term is known as values. Okay, so as we said that values can be, always the keys should be unique. So if we have the first key is name, then there can't be any other key value pair whose key is name. Okay, but value can be repeated and value can be of any data type. It's like here it is John, here it is 25, here it is a string, here it is a number, then again string. Okay, so yeah, that's how it is. Okay, and now the next question comes, how to access the key value pair. So there are various ways to access it. One of the ways is that you can directly write the dictionary name and then the key values inside this box. So it will return you the values of this key. Okay, so person, box, a name, so it will return John as an output. And if we have to access the age of this person, then we will write person square bracket age, it will return 25. If we want to add or subtract any element, if we want to add some element in this list, no, we can write person age equal to 26. Okay, so what would be the age of the person now? So now this 25 value will be changed and it will become 26. So like this you can change the value of any key inside the dictionary. Okay, but if you, let's say you have to delete some key value pair, then what you can write? You can write del person and that key. Okay, it will delete that key value pair. Okay, so basically when you delete key, no, then by default it will delete key value pair directly from the dictionary. So here you can see again, since we are able to add or remove elements from this dictionary, then it is also mutable. Okay, let's move to the next lesson, so which is tuples. Again, one of the unique property of tuple is that it is immutable, which means you cannot add or remove element from tuples. Okay, so here let's say a variable is there, coordinates equal to 3, 4. So one important point to note is that the basic syntax of tuple is that it starts with parenthesis and ends with also parenthesis. So again, if you have to access any element of this tuples, you can access directly by writing the coordinates and index of that element. So here if I am writing coordinates of 0, then it will by default it will return 3. Okay, and if we write coordinate of 0 equal to 5, then ideally if it was a list type, then what would have happened? So this 3 would have got replaced with 5. Okay, or yeah, this 5 element, this 5 number would have got added into this list, but since it is tuples, it will throw an error. Okay, so okay, now let's clean this and we will move to the next topic, which is sets. So sets are unordered collection of unique elements. If you see here also, we can add we can do the operations like adding, removing, and checking membership. Okay, so here we have methods like add, remove, union. All these methods are there. So again, this also starts with if we see the syntax of set, it starts with curly bracket and also ends with curly bracket, just like we just as we saw on the dictionary. But here it is not a key value pair. Here every element is unique. Okay, so whenever for example, if this is a fruit set, if we want to add any element in this, no, we will write fruit sets dot add. This will add an element into this set. And again, if we want to remove some element from this set, we will write dot remove, and it will remove that element from the set. So the unique difference between set and list is that in list one value can be repeated, but in sets there would be no value which got repeated. So every value will be unique. Okay, but yeah, here I mean we cannot use the index method because here there is no importance of orders. Okay, so that's why we call sets are unordered collections of unique elements. So remember these two words, unordered and unique, which so here unordered says there is no index here, and unique says that all the values are unique. There would not be repetition. If one apple is there, then we cannot put one more apple inside this set. Okay, alright. So let's go back to the Colab notebook and we will practice some questions related to list, dictionaries, sets and tuples. Okay. Let's clean it. Okay. So I think loop we have read. So yeah, I think we said that there are several built-in data types Python. So numbers as like integer, float. Okay, these are the numbers, and complex numbers are also there. So since we have not read, so it's fine. Then strings, you know, anything written between the double quote or single quote is called as strings. List, you saw that a list is a collection of items that are ordered and changeable. Changeable means mutable. Okay, tuples are also similar to list, but it is immutable. And lists, the element of lists are kept inside the square bracket. Elements of tuples are kept inside the parentheses, and but the values of the elements of sets are kept inside the curly brackets. So here the unique property of set is that it is a collection of unique elements and it is not ordered, it is unordered. So there is no importance of index values in case of sets. Okay, then we learned dictionaries. So dictionary, we denote it by DICT, dict, and here you saw that it is a collection of key value pairs. It is also unordered, but it is mutable. Unordered again means that we cannot use any index to access any values, or access any key values of dictionary. So here to access any value, what we used to do, we used to access it using their keyword. Okay, and it is also mutable. Okay, so let's see what are the methods to manipulate a list. So there are various methods like append, insert, dot extend, pop, remove, index, sort, min, max, sum, reverse, enumerate. Okay, so maybe we will create one list and we will see how this method can help us to manipulate a list. Okay, let's discuss this question. Question 10 says write a Python program that makes a list of numbers as input and calculates the product of all the numbers in the list. So what we are going to do is that we will set numbers. We will take a variable named numbers, which is a list which has elements like 5, 2, 3 and 6, and by default we will save one variable result equal to 1. Okay, So we will create one for loop which will iterate through each number of this list, and it will multiply this number with result. Okay, so let's see how it will work. So in the first run, here in num the 5 will be saved, then it will multiply result with 5. So 1 into 5, 5. Then in the second run of this for loop, it will multiply 2 with this result. So which result was 5. So 5 into 2, 10. Okay. Then in the third run of this loop, it will take 3 and multiply 3 with 5. Okay, which is 3 into 5 into 2 into 3. So it comes somewhere near 5, 10 into 3, 30. And then in the last one, it will multiply 30 with this 6. So which will come around 180. Okay, so that's how this loop is working. So I'll give you a task. What you have to do is that instead of putting this list as an input, you can write an input function to take the input. Okay, so ideally the question is also asking us to write a list, to write a function in such a way that it takes a list of numbers as an input. Okay, so just modify this code so that it instead of directly putting list values here, it will ask for list values. Okay, so let's discuss the 11th question, which says find the largest number in a list. So again, here by default, let's assume that list is something like this: 7, 14, 3, 21, 5, 11. So we have to find the largest element. So how we can do this? Let's assume that largest element is this first element, okay, which is nothing but my list with the the value which is at the 0th index. So let's assume that 7 is the largest value. So now what we will do? We will create a for loop and we will iterate through each of these numbers. If this first number is greater than this largest element, then we will assign the element as the largest element. Otherwise we would not play with this largest element. Okay, this is what we are doing here. Okay, so so what this code will do, first it will save the largest element equal to 7. So then it will say check 14. So it will find that the 14 is greater than 7. So now the 14th will be our largest element. Now again it will check 3. Since 3 is not more than 14, so yeah, there won't be any change. Then it will check 21. Since 21 is greater than 14, so now our new largest element will be 21. And then again for 5, since 5 is not greater than 21, so largest element won't change. Then again 11 is also not more than 21, so again our largest element will not change. So then it will give us the largest element as our output. Okay, so let's run this code. Let's see whether it is giving us the answer as 21 or not. So here we can see that we are getting 21 as an output. So okay, one more trick, or maybe one more function we can use to print the largest element of a list. Do you remember these functions or methods? So let's use one of these. So here we can see that we have one function named max. So it returns the largest element in a list. So let's use that. Okay, so if we write max of my list and run it, it will give me 21. So it is exactly same. So instead of writing these 7 or 8 lines of code, we can simply write this one line of code. Okay, and it will do the same job. Okay, so yeah, that is the advantage of these function methods. So you can we have already discussed that you can use the append method to add any element into the list. Then you can use insert to insert any element into any specific position. Okay, by default if you use append, it will add that element to the last of this list. But if you use insert method, then it will insert at some specific position. Okay, so again, then we have extend pop So dot pop again removes the element from the specific position, okay, and dot remove removes that first occurrence of that elements in the list. So again, yeah, you can go through all these manipulation techniques, and I would advise you to practice questions on all these methods, all these functions and methods, okay. That will help you to become familiar with these methods, okay. So yeah, that is all about list, okay. Maybe similarly you can practice questions related to set, tuples and dictionaries also, okay. So okay, now let's move to the next topic. Okay, so these are the homeworks which you can try on your own and see whether you are able to solve it or not. So we have provided the solution of these questions also after this slide, so you may refer these solutions, okay. And here is the explanation for the question. Let's move to the module 2.1, arrays in Python. So arrays are not a built-in data type in Python, so it is also similar to list. It is a collection of elements. Each element is identified by an index or a key. So whenever similar to list, here also you can use indexing and slicing and also find the length of the array, okay. So since it's so there again still you may see that it is similar to list type, but there are many differences. Like in list you cannot do arithmetic operations, but here in array you can manage doing arithmetic operations. Lists are used to collect items that usually consist of elements of multiple data types, but arrays are used to collect several items that are of same data types, okay. So okay, let's move to the multi-dimensional array. So here you can see that we can represent a matrix like this. So here this first subset is representing the first row of matrix, and the second subset is representing the second row of matrix, and third subset is representing the third row of matrix, okay. And if you want to access the element, this element, I think, yeah, this 2, then you have to write like a matrix with 0th index, which will represent this row, and this one will represent the first index. So this is the it will return 2, okay. So yeah, so these are the examples of multi-dimensional arrays, where which will be very helpful whenever you have to represent any matrix type of data, okay. So again, so different manipulation technique for arrays are like numbers dot once you write dot append, dot insert, dot remove. So these you can use to manipulate the arrays, okay. And so you can use sorting method to sort the arrays, okay. Earlier you had sorted function to sort any arrays or any list, but you can also use dot sort method to sort any list or an arrays. So here we have this list numbers, and once we write numbers dot sort, it will sort this list or array, okay. So like this. So one important thing which you have to note between array and list is that you cannot perform arithmetic operations on different lists, okay, but you can do that with array, okay. I'll show it with one example once we will move in our Colab notebook, okay. Let's begin the last module of this Python course, which is string operations in Python, okay. So I hope you have already known what is a string by now. It's a sequence of characters which is written inside the single or double quote, okay. again strings are immutable, which means that the values inside a string you can't be changed. For example, if let's say if string 1 is hello, and if we want to replace this e with some other value, that is not possible. Okay, so again there are different operations which we can perform on string. So here if you want to add string 1 in the string 2, you can simply write string 1 plus this is kept to put the space between hello and world, then you can use addition symbol plus string 2, so it will print hello world. Okay, so apart from this, again string also supports indexing and slicing. I hope by now you know what is indexing. Indexing is nothing but accessing some particular elements of a string by simply writing the index of that element. Okay, and slicing is something like getting access of some certain set of values by writing by mentioning the starting element and the last element plus 1. Okay, so there are various methods in string also to manipulate the strings, like dot upper, dot lower, strip, replace, find, count, and there are various uses of it. Dot upper method will convert all characters in a string to uppercase. Here you can see if I write hello world and inside this variable original string, and if you apply dot upper method, it will simply convert it into the capital letter. All the smaller letter will get converted into the capital letter. Similarly, if this is like hello world, if we use dot lower method, it will convert all the letters into a smaller one. Okay, so what it will do, it will simply remove leading and trailing white spaces from a string. Let's say here in this string you can see that there are spaces at the beginning also and at the end. So if we use dot strip, it will simply remove those strips, it will simply remove those white spaces. Okay, so dot replace is used to replace some particular element of a string with some other values. Okay, let's move to the next lesson. So next lesson is about formatting the strings. So using f strings or modulus formatting and format method, we can format our string. So sometime you will see that you need some template where you just and you want to print the same template by changing some variables inside this. So for those purpose you can use this type of format. Okay, where please pay attention to this format. Okay, here what we have written, like f double quote hello comma, and then inside this curly bracket we have written a variable name. Okay, and then we have written some syntax, and again inside this curly bracket we have mentioned one more variable named age. Okay, and all these things we have kept inside the double quote. So what this f will say is that if anything is if you use this f before this double quote, then Python will say that if anything is kept inside this curly bracket, it will consider it as variable, and instead of this directly printing this, it will print the value of this variable. Okay, so you can see if we will print this, it will give us the output like hello Alice, you are 25 years old. There is one more way to write the same thing. What we will do here is that we will create a string where we will write hello curly bracket and all these things, but after this sentence at the end we will use dot format method. Here in the dot format we will mention both variables. So here this first variable will take the place of this curly bracket, and the second variable will take the place of the second curly bracket. Okay, and this will also print the same thing, like hello Alice, you are 25 years old. Okay, So okay, let's move to the next lesson, which is string manipulation. So till now we have studied many things. Now let's talk about splitting and joining. So if you want to split any string, then you can simply use dot split method, where if you put anything here, no, then it will split the string into different words by saying that. By default it assumes that if nothing is mentioned here inside this bracket, then it will take space as a criteria to split the strings. Okay, so it will simply print this is a sample sentence. Okay, these things will make more sense when we will do it manually inside the Colab notebook. Okay, and then similarly we also have the dot join method. So what it does is that it simply joins two strings. Okay, so here for example here if we will put before this join method, no, so it will simply use that sign to join the sentences. Okay, so that's all about the strings. Let's move to the Colab notebook and practice few questions related to string. Okay, so as we discussed, there are many functions and methods related to string which you can use to manipulate the string. Okay, similarly as I think we have not seen any pictures related to indexing and slicing. This one would be a good example to see how indexing and slicing works. I hope since you would have already seen multiple times we have used these things. So here as we said that string index starts from 0 and go up to n-1 value. Okay, so string index is nothing but it refers to the location of an element present in a string. Okay, and the indexing always begins from 0, not from 1. Okay, so this is the index. For example, if we have to access this G, let's say we have a variable name language and it contains the string language only. So if we have to access this G, then what will print, what will write, we will write language square bracket 3. So because the index of this G is 3, so it will print it will return G. Okay, so that's how string indexing works. And if we talk about slicing, we can use colon